up, ETHDenver? My name is Willy Ogorzaly. I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you guys about a topic that I'm very passionate about, and many members of the ShapeShift and Giveth communities are very passionate about: building a future without application fees. I should mention too, I'm a shapeshifter by day, Givether by night. So, to be clear, I needed a catchy title, but today we're focusing on a future without application fees. We're not taking aim at protocol fees, at least not today. We're specifically talking about this layer on top. So, to start, I'd like to invite everyone to close their eyes for a moment and take part in a quick little envisioning exercise with me. Imagine a future teeming with open source technologies and applications where the best, most efficient protocols win. And other than protocol fees, people don't pay to use decentralized applications. You can open your eyes now. Now, I'm not selling you a world in which developers are altruists who are coding for peanuts, but rather one in which positive-sum games reward developers even more than if they were to charge fees on top of the applications they build. Now, to me, this seems like an obvious and inevitable future. And if you agree, sweet, we can stop the presentation now and get back to building. It can be those little robots in the bottom right corner. That could be us. But believe it or not, some projects that I talk to, and a lot of the people I talk to, clearly do not get this. They somehow think that putting fees on top of decentralized protocols is a perfectly acceptable business model. I'm not just talking about obscure products, but products we all know and love. Today, I want to challenge this. For dApps, I want to show you that there's better ways to monetize and to capture value than by extracting it. For protocols, I want to show you how valuable it can be to share a slice of the revenues that your protocol earns with applications and interfaces that add value. And for users, I want to help save you money. Or even better, I want to help make you money and transform you from just a regular old user into an empowered community member with the power to fight for more utility and better business models. So historically, in the Web 2 world, how do interfaces make money? Well, in addition to selling your data, one popular way to monetize an interface is by charging fees. There's all sorts of fees you can charge. You can charge a transaction fee, a subscription fee, a one-time fee. But when you do this, you add a barrier that every user of your product must overcome. Fees inevitably add friction, and they detract from user experience. Nobody likes fees. Or if you do like fees, I hate to break it to you, but you may be a psychopath. Furthermore, if your project's success relies on network effects, which in this open source world, I think for many projects it will, it is imperative that you minimize friction in your network flywheel. Otherwise, a competitor is going to come with less friction, build stronger network effects, and win. Now, that part's really important, so I'll repeat it. If the success of your project depends on network effects, it is imperative that you minimize friction. Otherwise, a project with less friction in their flywheel will build a stronger network and win. So what's better than fees? No fees. Free, baby. We all know how powerful free is. One of the main reasons I'm here is to stack up on some dope swag. Whew. The power of free is embedded deep into our psychology. So the first example I want to share is Bitfract, which is a tool I built with some friends in the last bull run. Bitfract was the first tool where you could trade Bitcoin for multiple digital assets at once. And it was really cool. But I think the reason that people really liked Bitfract was that it was free. Bitfract was built on ShapeShift. And on, Bitfract was built on ShapeShift, and ShapeShift had an awesome affiliate revenue model where we got paid for the volume that we drove to ShapeShift in a way that didn't cost users anything extra. And I think this is one of the reasons that people really loved Bitfract and why we were generating revenues on day one. Free does not mean that you can't make money. In fact, today I want to show you how you can be wildly successful and make even more money without fees. So please close your eyes again and imagine with me a future where the only fees are on the protocol level. Now, if that isn't beautiful enough, imagine that interfaces are not only open source and free, but they reward you with governance tokens when you use them. And those governance tokens entitle you to a share of the revenue generated by the interface. Now, how freaking beautiful does that sound? You can open your eyes. Let's be real, though. The bills don't pay themselves, and developers' time is far from free. So how do you make money? There's a number of creative ways to make money, and there's more money Legos being developed as we speak. Today, I want to talk about two specific monetization strategies for dApps that don't require charging any fees. If you're thinking about building a dApp and trying to figure out how to monetize it, I hope there's a good chance that one of these will work for you. But if not, I hope they at least give you some inspiration. So the first example I want to use is Giveth. On Giveth, 100% of every donation goes directly to top projects. Could we charge fees on top of these donations? Or could we charge projects to list them? I mean, I guess, but that would be terrible. This money is for charity. So we came up with a model that we think is much better. One thing we've learned at Giveth is that it's all about the givers. As long as you have givers donating, the projects will come, and you can build a really strong network. But in the current nonprofit industry, being a giver is hard. Once you've decided which cause you want to support and how much you want to donate, you need to research multiple competing projects and pick the best one to donate to. But you just want to give away your money, and giving away money should be easy. So on Giveth, we're super excited to introduce the concept of donating to causes. Soon, you'll be able to donate to the cause you care about and trust that 100% of your donation will be allocated to top projects in that cause. It's going to be very similar to Gitcoin. We're actually working with Gitcoin to take quadratic matching so that if you do donate to a project, your donation will get matched. This means that the donations are going to be sitting idly for about 45 days between the time that they're donated to a cause and then allocated to an end project. And I can see people nodding. They're starting to put it together. Anytime you have crypto sitting there doing nothing, that's an opportunity to generate yield. So on Giveth, 100% of every dollar donated can go directly to projects. And in the meantime, the revenue sitting there idly can generate yields to fund further development. And that can potentially generate billions of dollars of revenue. This is a winning model. Could Giveth still win by charging fees? Maybe, but that's not the frickin' point. The point isn't can I get away with charging fees? The point is, should I? And I really believe the answer is no. Because if Giveth doesn't charge fees, we can be the best way to donate to social good projects. Which platform would you guys rather donate on? The one that charges fees or the one that doesn't? Which platform would you rather list your project on? If you assume similar UX, code quality, and features, which used to be really good competitive advantages in the Web 2 world, but are much less so in this new open source world, the one thing that does trump fees is network effects. Fees add a lot of friction, but Web 2 businesses have figured out how to make their fees just low enough so that the value of this network they've built is worth it. And it makes it very hard for a non-disruptive startup to come in and compete. I saw this firsthand in Austin when Uber and Lyft got banned for a bit. Some startups tried to take over, and as soon as Uber and Lyft came back in, they just wiped them away. So with Uber and Lyft, for example, right now about 33% of every ride you take goes to a company in San Francisco. That's like a 50% tax on the rider. So if your ride's $24, that means $16 is going to the driver, $8 is going to a company in San Francisco. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm all about free market innovation and rewarding these innovators. But how long in humans' evolution are we going to pay 50% tax on every ride we take? But alas, when any of us need a ride, we're still probably going to use Uber and Lyft. However, some of us in this audience, no matter how much ETH we have, will still compare rates between Uber and Lyft to see who's cheaper. And drivers will still run both apps to get more business. Few of us are actually loyal to any specific one of these brands. But the network effects that they both established make it almost impossible for any new startup to displace them. Notice I said almost. I don't think we're stuck with Uber and Lyft for the rest of human history. But I do think that it's going to be very difficult to beat them at their own game. Launching a decentralized Uber with slightly lower fees is not going to cut it. We need to disrupt these motherfuckers. Woo! So, to accelerate this disruption, don't just race Web 2 companies to the bottom. Front-run this race entirely. Make your app free, and use the growing variety of money Legos to generate revenue in a new way, ideally one that just is not easy or possible in Web 2. Because when you make your app free, when you monetize creatively, and when you build network effects, it's very, very hard to compete, especially in this open source world. Code can be forked, but network effects cannot be. The next business model I'm really excited to share with you guys is ShapeShift's new model. ShapeShift is proud to now be a community-owned, open source, and free. We are now officially a public good. Woo! So many of you may be wondering, how the heck do we make money? When ShapeShift first launched in 2014, it made money by charging fees on trades. And then when the Fox token launched in 2018, its primary utility was to waive these fees. The more Fox you held, the more trading fees you could waive. And this made pretty good sense. ShapeShift wasn't open source at the time. We were basically a closed source trading desk. So the Fox token was a pretty neat way that we were able to capture the value of this very robust trading engine we'd been building for years in the form of a token. But then we fast forward to January 2021. We've seen the proliferation of DEXs. ShapeShift announced that it's getting out of the regulated business of trading and embracing these decentralized protocols. Finally, no more FKYC. You can imagine what the F stands for. Yeah. So now how do we make money? And what's the utility of Fox? Should we add fees on top of these decentralized protocols and then make the Fox token waive these fees? No! Not going to make it. Now, don't get me wrong. I really love MetaMask. But who do they think they are, charging 0.875% on top of decentralized exchange protocols? This is more than the protocols charge. I just think this is lame. But wait, what if ShapeShift charged 0.865% or 0.855%? Instead of racing MetaMask and all the other wallets, adding fees on top of trades to the bottom, ShapeShift doesn't charge fees on top of decentralized protocols. In fact, ShapeShift doesn't charge any fees anywhere. You can buy, sell, send, receive, trade, and earn yield on your crypto for free. The only fees you'll be paying when you're using ShapeShift are on the protocol level. Instead, the ShapeShift DAO can generate affiliate revenues. Whenever a user trades, buys, earns interest, sells an NFT, buys ShapeShift swag, whatever it is, the ShapeShift DAO can earn affiliate revenues in ways that do not cost the user any extra. And furthermore, this is where it gets really exciting. We can even give the user some Fox. In other words, users could be interacting directly with contracts like Yearn on-chain using their own node, and it would cost them more than using ShapeShift in terms of the opportunity cost. Now, ShapeShift can be the best way to use Yearn, the best way to use 1inch, the best way to sell your NFTs on OpenSea, not just in UX terms, but economically, down to the bottom line that we all care so much about. Each of these protocols already offers affiliate revenue models. And there's many more and more coming, but you can already see there's already options for the main things that crypto users want to do. And there's even options for things crypto users don't want to do, like tax services. This model can be applied to any protocol or crypto service that charges users. Instead of charging users more to use these services through us, let's charge them nothing. And better yet, let's share some of the revenues we generate from their activity with them in the form of Fox. So to recap, not all fees are evil. From fees on the protocol level often serve a purpose, and the market will determine the optimal balance. Often they're necessary for the sustainability of the protocol. Interfaces can serve a purpose as well, and the market will determine the optimal balance for them as well. But I believe that optimal balance will trend towards zero, or even negative. Rather than competing with Web 2 companies and each other in a race to the bottom, front-run this race entirely. Make your fees zero. Figure out a creative way to monetize and start building network effects. These types of business models, particularly the float model of generating interest, would be very difficult and very expensive for a Web 2 startup to implement. But for DAOs, the building blocks are already there, just waiting to be assembled. We have the opportunity here to create a better world. Let's DAO it.